Hello, everyone, and let's talk about the cancellation of the Mise Éire Festival from the Mayflower in Drumshanbo, County Leitrim. A series of unfortunate events. But let's first talk about some of the wonderful artists who have signed up that they are not in favour of this kind of thing happening. I'll start with a story. A couple of years ago, there was a lady called Barbara Barrett, also known as Shakti, who wanted to run a festival called New Earth. The concept was very simple. It was a reggae festival, kind of Bob Marley music, a bit of jibbing and jibing, all the rest of it. And she wanted farms across Ireland to grow organic food and communities to live communally growing organic food, getting away from the system. Of course, that was too much for the lefties of the Northwest to handle, because Shakti had done something terrible, absolutely horrendous. She had gone to libraries that were renting books about children and sexuality and said, I disagree with that. So, of course, she was designated as a Nazi terrorist. But anyways, a young up-and-coming rap band from Belfast got in touch. They were very concerned about cancel culture, and they offered to play for a fee, of course. I think it was £5,000, if I remember correctly. This young up-and-coming rap band, they got in contact with Shakti and says, it's not right that you're being cancelled. We wouldn't like that. We hate cancel culture. They've moved on, obviously. Then another gentleman called Krusty Howard. Remember the song? I'm an ordinary man, nothing special, nothing grand. I had to work for everything I own. Well, I'm delighted to announce he's working on a new song. It goes something like this. I arrived on a boat. I hadn't got much hope, but thankfully the Irish taxpayer, they looked after me. Yeah, good one. Chris O'Dowd. What can I say? I'm just really, 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 really sad about Chris O'Dowd. Always thought he was a nice fella. I'd imagine a lot of his success is down to Irish Americans. They're a kind of a rebellious bunch. God, I wonder if they were to ever hear that someone of Chris O'Dowd's standing, thinks that if someone disagrees with a totalitarian government, they're a Nazi. Well, it's an interesting sort of way of advertising yourself, but however, on to the Mise Éire Festival. I have met the organiser of it, Mr. Kerr, several times. Never found him that bad. Always thought he seemed fairly straightforward, intelligent in a lot of regards. Pretty mild. Someone that you could look at and say, modicum of sense there, So that's my opinion on him. We offered our venue to Mr. Kerr. Unfortunately, our venue was not acceptable in some terms, because it turns out that a lot of the crowd going to Mise Éire are not young, hip to the groove Nazis, but in fact pretty senior people who were just looking forward to a nice sit down, listening to some music and people talking. So on to the speakers. John Waters, absolute gentleman. Yes, he has alternative views. That used to be all right in Ireland, but I'd say what the left are really concerned about is John's new book, which absolutely documents what went on during the COVID period, the frightening aspects of the cure for this period. Yeah, they'd be pretty concerned about that. Thomas Sheridan, another lovely man, good friends, I think, with John. Seems to be a pretty straightforward speaker. Then, of course, you have Kevin Flanagan. Now, Kevin is a very dangerous man. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Kevin is absolutely horrifically dangerous because he has a PhD in, law and philosophy and politics and stuff like that. And Kevin would be able to sit down and make a very reasonable case as to why the Brehon laws were in actual fact a superior system to the current law system. Dangerous stuff, that. So here we are. This is the Mise Éire Festival, cancelled now in Drumshanbo. It's meant to be at an alternative venue in Castlebar, and I intend to be at it. And I'm looking at the left at the moment and wondering what in the name of God they're so against. But for all of you co-signatories of this list of artists who are against this festival, and you're standing up against fascism, it would be very interesting if one of the people who organised that petition was at an organic market in Carrick-on-Shannon yesterday with a T-shirt that read, "Drink more blood." And some one of my men was clever enough to take pictures of this walking fucking lunatic. That'd be interesting. So I'll ask all the artists, the co-signatories of this petition, should we all be vampires now, Ted? What's the church's line on this drinking blood, Ted? Ye fuckwits.